Good morning. I would like to welcome now Gabriele Maurer. On stage, you're Head of Sustainability and Performance Management at Jungheinrich, and my colleague Kiri Trier from Capgemini Invent, heading up sustainability for the DACH region. And you're speaking about creating transparency and sustainability at Jungheinrich. Please come on stage. And it's about the entire life cycle assessment of your products and how to get the carbon emission per product. And I know you created the transparency across the entire company. So welcome very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, and thanks for having us, and a happy warm welcome from my side as well. My name is Kiri Trier. I'm leading the sustainability practice for Capgemini Invent, and together with Gabriele, thanks for having you as well, we will guide you a little bit through our project we have been working together on in the last 9 months already.
Yes.
And the project is called Project Gaia. That's the project title. And we will start right away with a short problem definition. I guess it's not new for you that sustainability is the topic, actually. I think this is something we don't need to discuss. If you go through this fair here, everywhere you see sustainability. But the key factor here in terms of how to tackle the climate change and the climate crisis together is, from our point of view, the measurement. The first thing companies need to do is to measure their CO2 emissions, obviously. And this is coming from scientific facts. As we all know, the Paris Agreement is out there. We are aligned to the Paris Agreement. We do have social responsibility as well, coming from the EU taxonomy. This needs to be embedded. And there are a lot of political regulations we are currently discussing. Maybe you have listened to the GS ministers in the last weekend, where they aligned on the 84 statements in terms how to tackle the climate change. So, we started actually the project 9 months ago, and we identified, first of all, some challenges when it comes to the Jungheinrich group. And we would like to start with actually two main challenges, which is the lack of transparency in terms of all emission drivers. I think this is one challenge every company is facing at the moment. Of course, some have done a first screening in terms of their emission factors, in terms of the transparency. But when it comes to a more granular level and to really define scope 3 in all the categories, it's quite tough to do so. And the other key challenge was the decentralization of Jungheinrich. And I guess Gabriele is the right one to talk to in terms of the company itself. And the third one we have evaluated during the project is actually the limited resources and actually the time. Today, like yesterday, time is money, you know it. And therefore, we are very keen on how to drive this. With a lot of speed, actually. So we started with a very small project team, and we are now a bigger one because we are experienced that we need to expand the project team. But we will deep dive on this a little bit later on. And now maybe, Gabriele, you can elaborate a little bit further on why do you do this? How do you see the challenges also aligned with your strategy 2025 plus?
Yes, thank you, Kiri. Yes, as mentioned before, we had a strategy 2025 plus for sustainability, and one part of our strategy is the climate management. The climate management is a key to get a climate neutrality in a short time view, and therefore it was very important for us to know our starting point. Of course, every management systems act that you know is a starting point, and then you improve and measure again that you know you are on the right way, on the right track to get your achievements. Kiri mentioned before, we had a lot of challenges in our company during decentralization of our organization and several business units we had to manage there. I think we can flip to another chart. We have faced the project in two different sub-projects. First of all, we have the corporate carbon footprint. The corporate carbon footprint has the complete value chain, the complete value chain of the company, and also different company units to collect the data from them. So it was very difficult to involve all our stakeholders. For both split projects, we had approach to orientate us on regulatory standards. For the carbon footprint, it was the greenhouse gas protocol. The greenhouse gas protocol divides the corporate carbon footprint in 3 scopes and in, I think, approximately 18 subcategories. So it was a lot of data to collect here. And for starting the project, we had a chat with Kiri because it was very important for us to develop a global process that we can have our determination of the carbon footprint every year again to measure our targets. The knowledge about the different hot topics is a basis to develop a reduction roadmap that we can reach our goal in a short time. And also it was very important to involve our employees in this project because we had a lot of stakeholders to get in contact with. For the life cycle assessment, we also perform in the same project because it was necessary that we have to collect the data from the same contact persons, and there would be a good synergy for data collection and also the evaluation of the data, which is another big topic of it. The LCA means that we have a carbon footprint of our products, so that we can measure every product, and this identifies for the products measurements and also for the processes where we are building these products. Yes, the basis of our detailed analysis gives us short time views about our optimization potentials, but also of long time. And this timely schedule of our roadmap brings us to a decreasing of carbon footprint in our products themselves. I think we can split.
So thanks, Gabriele. The forklift you see over there in the corner of our stand, and here you can also follow a breakdown how we have evaluated this data. We have not only evaluated data of the forklift, but also of 3 other products actually from your portfolio. And we would like to summarize this a little bit, what we not only see as challenges, but also key learnings. And I would like to start with the project timeline. Very often we are experiencing that companies see this as a nice, small product in terms of project, like evaluating the CO2 emissions in 4 to 6 weeks. This is not going to happen. So we started here with a first screening. A first screening means really secondary data and not primary data. And then we deep dive into a next phase, into the primary data, how to collect this from more than 100 entities, so more than 100 different stakeholders in the whole supply chain we had to talk to. We had to train them in terms of terminology. We had to train them in terms of methodology, which data to use, which data is usable for emission factoring and an end. And in the end, the granular phase was not about extrapolation. It was really about the calculation behind that, which is very important also in terms of, in the end, the validation. Because the measurement is as good as the validation is, actually. And this is very important for Jungheinrich at every stage, that we double-checked several times the data with a lot of team members to see if there are any faults or any data lags actually, and especially about the heterogeneity of the data itself. We found out that this is really valuable if we do this in a very iterative way. We also have experienced that we have very cross-functional stakeholders which have a different understanding of sustainability itself. So we started really from scratch in a very deductive way. What is the strategy itself? How is this embedded into the CO2 emission calculation, and what to do next? So when we have evaluated the hotspots, what are the reduction targets? How can we drive this together to the next level so that they are really prepared for the future already, what to do next actually, and not just seeing this as a single point of view in terms of one single point action to do so. Is there anything else you would like to mention? Yeah.
Yes, now it works. Thank you. I think one of the key facts of our product was the good information about the stakeholder. Because Kiri mentioned it already, we had to connect to a lot of our stakeholders, because you need from over 100 units the information, for example, about traveling, about waste. So every unit multiplied with the stakeholders, we had a lot of data points to ask for, and also data we get back from them. I think one of the best projects we had in there was that we offer open meetings, so the people can call and answer questions. We provide a FAQ list. We provide a sustainability glossar where they can look it up. We provide one-to-ones to explain our data and what we need from our data. And of course, we also remember always about the timeline, because nobody liked to share the data for free, because everyone else has other projects. So it was a big effort to collect the data himself and also to validate the data. Because about 100 companies, you can imagine, they have different IT systems. They have different definition of the key of the KPIs. And also maybe sometimes it's only the different unit behind the KPI, which is not possible to match the data of different companies together.
And maybe we have to mention that this is not automated yet. So this is based on really manual handwork. And so we started with a company and a system called WeSystem, which you provided. And they did a first rough scope 1 and 2 analysis. But in terms of scope 3, we had to do this really from scratch. And now we are here actually to deliver the first semi-automated data processing pipeline. So there is something we were able to automate, which is good. So, but still, it is an Excel file in the end. And because what we see currently evolving is that there is not the one-fits-all size solution. And especially when you come to a company like Jungheinrich, which is decentralized in such long history, but as well as entities, and then you don't find the solution, and therefore you need to develop the solution. And this is also what we proposed to Jungheinrich from the start of the project on, to say, hey, you really need to focus on the automatization of the project itself, because you're not doing this once, you're doing this twice or every year
again. And that was the reason why we looked up for some software solutions in front of the project, but we didn't find the software which matched our requirements. A lot of software solutions offer carbon accounting, for example, but not in the deep of our processes or in the deep of our products. So we, as Kiri mentioned, calculate every product itself down the supply chain on every single data point. Of course, you need a lot of information from the value chain and also from our processes and products. But at the moment, we have a very good database to set up for the next years. And of course, we are looking again for a new software solution that we can improve, automatize our data collection system and the calculation of the carbon footprint, as well as LCAs. For example, we had only 4 pilots of the life cycle assessment done, and we have a lot of products in different segments of Jungheinrich, so we have a lot of work to do.
So, I guess to wrap this up finally, you have heard now that we have evaluated the so-called corporate carbon footprint and the life cycle assessment. So we combined actually this approach, and we called this a top-down and bottom-up approach to create the best validation actually out of that. And I mean, for us, it worked quite well to do so in terms of creating the right transparency for Jungheinrich and the right measurements behind that. And yeah, so please keep in mind, it takes a little bit to get to this ground here. But in the end, I guess it's very valuable for your holistic climate strategy and actually drive this really end to end. But maybe...
Yes, for us, the project goal of transparency and measurability was given because we know now our starting point, our jump-off point for our improvement strategy. And we have built up a holistic climate strategy on this with a roadmap to reduce our carbon footprint over our processes and also of our products. So this is the starting point to go in the company and to discuss about projects to improve ourselves. And finally, when we finalize the roadmap, to give a year to be carbon neutral. Thank you very much.
Thank you.